Hi, everyone. My name is Montrese Payton-Hardy. I go by she, her. I am a Black woman with braids, glasses, and a sleeveless white collar t-shirt on. Well, more like a blouse. I normally give my descriptions when I record a video for the sake of inclusion, disability inclusion specifically for blind and low vision audiences. I am so grateful to Tina and the NFB for this opportunity to share my experience about the IEP Advocacy Academy. And I will jump into the questions that we were asked. Um, Briefly, I am located in Louisville, Kentucky at this time. I am originally from California, Los Angeles specifically. I'm very proud of that. I currently work as a deputy chief of staff. I literally just started this job last week, and I also own my own small consultancy, MPH and Co., where I lead as a speaker and trainer, mostly on accessibility and disability inclusion. And the majority of my clients are educational institutions, nonprofits, and private businesses. So, my two big takeaways from the IEP Advocacy Academy were first, the importance of language and the glossary. We were given the resource of a robust glossary for all things IEP conversations. And the glossary in itself was really helpful in breaking down all of the alphabet soup. There are so many acronyms. There are acronyms for everything, be it for assessments or even when it comes to assistive technology and orientation mobility. You got your AT and your O&M. So just breaking down all of the acronyms and then also understanding the definitions and the history of much of the language that is used in the IEP conversations and negotiations, that was extremely helpful. I myself, just quickly and personally, I have two kiddos. They are 13 and 12. My son is 13, my daughter is 12, and I had to go through an IEP meeting, several IEP meetings for my son. I did this with the state of Texas at the time we were living in Houston. And because my son was attending a charter school, KIP, KIP Houston, in particularly, it was KIP Sharpstown. We had to go through the process of IEP, not only with the regional district, but also with KIP Texas Public Schools, which covers, it's for the state and it covers Houston, San Antonio, Fort, um, oh gosh, Fort Worth, Dallas and Fort Worth, and Austin. And I had to work with everyone from the school leader to the special education director to the statewide special education directors. And there were so many. Um, Staff members included in my committee. So this is my personal tie and experience to all things IEP. After my own experience, I learned quite a bit in what to do and what not to do and found opportunities. They honestly just fell in my lap where I was able to support other parents who a couple lived in my state, a few lived in other states, states of Florida and North Carolina, and supported going into the IEP meeting as an advocate for the parent that I worked with in Florida. For others, I gave them resources and talked them through the process. That was for North Carolina and for the state of Texas. So these have been my own experiences with all things IEP thus far and advocacy. However, I have not directly yet advocated explicitly for a family with a child who was blind or low vision. So I am quite excited to get into that experience, and I do feel far more equipped to do so because of the resource of the glossary that we were introduced to. And then also, my other biggest takeaway was the assessments. Learning more about the assessments, such as I have the glossary open actually, the LMA or the Learning Media Assessment, the NRMA or the National Reading Media Assessment. Learning more about those, it was really, really helpful for me to get a grasp on not only how important the outcomes of the assessments are and making sure that I have a clear grasp on how to discuss those metrics in an IEP meeting, but understanding also the validity, what they are actually testing for, and what should be and could be understood with the results of the assessment, as well as how they can be skewed one way or another. That made me feel far more equipped to more diplomatically discuss as an advocate the various assessments that would be used in any IEP meeting with a parent. And I feel ready, so much more ready to support advocacy on another family's behalf because of that. So those were my two greatest takeaways. There were plenty of others, but I'm just going to land on those two. And so I will go on just to cover the rest of the questions that Tina shared with us. So I believe it was just one more, and that was if we had any advice for parents. So to be brief as I possibly can, I have 3 points of advice. The first is one, you are the expert on your child. And I believe that it's important for parents to hear that every once in a while because many times we don't believe that we're the experts. At least I could be wrong. However, I do believe that it's important for parents to be encouraged, including myself, to trust your insights, trust our own insights. We do understand that educators and specialists tend to bring a lot of important knowledge and tools and so on to the table. However, we as parents, we have our lived experience with our own children. We know their strengths, their needs, their daily challenges, and all of that is essential to creating a meaningful IEP meeting and conversation. So don't be afraid to speak up or ask for clarification. Ask those clarifying questions. No matter how embarrassing you think it might be, it is not embarrassing to ask for clarification. Ultimately, as a parent, your voice is the one that matters the most for your child, next to your child's voice, of course. The next piece of advice that I have for parents is make sure that accessibility is truly non-negotiable. I believe that it's important just to be prepared to really stand 10 toes down and not just accept the we'll see what we can do. I believe that it is helpful for parents to ask specific questions about accessible materials, such as anything and everything available in Braille, large print, and of course, the usage of screen readers, tutorials and preparation and training for that, support for that, orientation, mobility training, etc. So, push for accessibility for our children, your child. I think that that is imperative. And finally, my last piece of advice would be to focus, don't forget to focus on building relationship and not just on the paperwork. Absolutely make sure that anything and everything is documented and, of course, signed wherever signature is absolutely required, 100%. But also, the IEP is an opportunity or the IEP meeting is an opportunity for us as parents to partner with educators for the sake of our children getting exactly what they need for their learning and to thrive. And so, as long as we keep reiterating and circling back to the fact that we are looking to build a partnership and work cohesively and collaboratively so that the child benefits, I think that that is what matters the absolute most. I think it's also important in IEP meetings as you are building relationship to share victories and successes about what's working. Be vocal about what's not working, but try to be just as vocal about what is working so that everyone feels that this is a more it's a holistic approach to partnering and making sure that students have what they need, and that everyone is very willing to continue communicating about that too. It's not always advocating and pushing. It's not always requiring and criticism. We can also look forward to conversation about the joys and triumphs over any sort of barriers that may have come up over the year. I think it's also important to push ourselves as well as push administration to be curious and stay curious about whatever it is that we're seeing, patterns and data and so on, and ask questions. We as parents ask questions, possibly model for the administrators that we need to be asking questions. We didn't see this pattern before. We didn't see this before. Why is this changed? And stay curious about that as opposed to um, being critical all the time, because we do know that that is quite necessary, especially when it comes to pushing for the needs of our children. And lastly, just as a part of building relationship, I think it's really helpful as a parent to create space and model what that looks like for mutual understanding in the conversations. Something that I love to speak to, verbiage I like to use because I learned this from my sister who's an educator, is that I'm listening and seeking to understand so that I may be understood. I used that a lot in my own meetings with my son's team for his IEP. So those are my 3 points of advice. Again, I am so grateful for this opportunity to have shared what I learned in this process. It was great meeting everyone from the NFB team, all of the experts, Sanho and Anil, and my goodness, um, oh my gosh, I want to say Mark Riccobono and his beautiful wife, and um, oh my gosh, everyone, the whole team. It was just so nice meeting everyone. Tina, again, thank you so much for reaching out and allowing for me to send this video. And I do hope that this information was helpful. I am also sharing my information with Tina, all of my contact details, so phone number, email, and I can be reached via call or text. I can also be connected with on social media, primarily LinkedIn, under Montrese Payton-Hardy, and I'll be sending my Calendly link. I believe I did send that over to her, just in case any parent wants to book some time and maybe have a little bit more of an expanded conversation. If you have questions about anything that I may have said, or you just need another parent to talk to, and sometimes it can be helpful to talk to someone in a different place, different state. They may come with a different perspective. We never know. So happy to be a resource, happy to help anyone. I really hope that this was a great use of time. Enjoy the rest of the meeting, and thank you all again. Have a wonderful evening.